Here we go. Boy, is this a crazy story, and apparently this has been happening for quite a while now. Okay, so we know that across the globe, militaries spy on other militaries, and they do whatever it takes. This has been documented for years upon years, from ancient times up until today. So that part of the story is not crazy. What is crazy is that we have Chinese nationals pretending to be tourists who accidentally find themselves like next to a nuke test site. They find themselves in a military base on accident, listening in on conversations. And they manage to breach the gates of US military bases, known as gate crashers. And so again, this has been happening for a long time now, and we're going to sort of dig into this. We're going to sort of uncover this, and we can see how they're able to do it and how the U.S. military and even an elected official is quite concerned. Also, we're going to talk about some other interesting stuff where soldiers managed to steal an artillery round. We'll get into that a bit later here. Thank you for being here if you are live. Okay, let me go ahead and make myself smaller real quick. All right, so again, these are called gate crashers, where these guys show up to a military gate and they either make it through the gate or make it through the base or not. And we'll talk about why sometimes civilians and tourists or foreigners are actually allowed in U.S. bases and can sometimes breach the gate when they're not supposed to be there. Chinese gate crashers at U.S. bases rise espionage concerns. Hey, $2 donation. Distraction. Thank you for the distraction. Chinese nationals, sometimes posing as tourists, have accessed military bases and sensitive sites in the U.S. as many as 100 times in recent years. It's a lot. The Wall Street Journal report on Sunday, citing U.S. officials who described the incidents as potential espionage threats. The Defense Department, FBI, and agencies held a review last year to try to limit these incidents that involve gate crashers because of their attempts to get into U.S. military bases without proper authorization. And I was in the U.S. Army, and I'm going to sort of talk about how it is actually kind of easy to accidentally maybe stumble across places you're not supposed to be, without giving away information or this being like me giving secrets. There really are no secrets because, look, at the end of the day, any U.S. citizen can go to a U.S. military base if you want. If you have a proper reasoning, if you want to go visit the museum, if you want to visit the memorial sites, you can go to a U.S. military base. You just have to have the proper documentation. The gate crashers range, hey, we have another $2 donation. We love throwing you off. You guys throw me off, it's wild because you know I stutter and that's messed up. Thank you for the donation. The gate crashers range from Chinese nationals found crossing into a U.S. missile. Listen to this. The gate crashers ranged from Chinese nationals found crossing into a U.S. missile range in New Mexico. Oh, sorry, we accidentally ended up on this missile testing site. We're just here taking pictures. Oh, I didn't know we were supposed to be here. 2, scuba divers swimming in murky waters near U.S. government rocket launch site in Florida. Oh, yeah, we were just swimming over here, and all of a sudden, we conveniently happened to be near a launch site. Okay, so the government's not dumb. The U.S. military's not dumb. They know what's happening. The incidents that occurred in rural areas where there was little tourism typically involved Chinese nationals who were pressed into service and required to report back to the Chinese government. We'll also get into that also, where the Chinese government can be very sketchy on U.S. soil as well. So anyway, we're not given that much information other than a U.S. Senator of North Dakota. Shout out North Dakota. I know one person from North Dakota. This is what he had to say. There's over 100 of them they've caught or they've identified, but there could be thousands that are doing this and nobody knows anything about it. So it's quite concerning when you have a high-ranking U.S. official who's saying, look, there could be thousands. We've caught 100. We don't know what they're doing because guess what? This country is massive and it's very easy just to come in this country. And it's also actually pretty easy to go into a military base. When you look at the policies, if you have a driver's license, good to go. If you have an adequate reason, you can go. There are a list of things that can be done and should be done, but we have an administration that's willing to do them. Of course, this is going to get political. Like when Mike Pompeo restricted the B2 visas to one entry within a month. Not multiple entries over the course of 10 years, which is something the Biden administration did away as soon as he became president. Of course, it's always going to get political. Now, look, here's where things get sketchy. There are a variety of U.S. military bases throughout the United States. You have bases that are just straight up training bases, like basic training bases. You have military bases that are your standard, like 101st Airborne, 82nd Airborne, 3rd Infantry Division, stuff like that. But then you also have bases where predominantly those units will go there to go and train and get ready for war. Something called the Joint Readiness Training Center, JRTC. If you've ever served, you're probably triggered right now because these places stink. So understand this. These bases also have a cycle of troops going in, and typically you go there knowing you're about to deploy or you're training for scenarios. And so if the 101st Airborne is getting their deployment readiness, and you have these Chinese national spies who are there, they could just be hanging out and watching. They can look at the patches, they can see who's coming in and out, and they know, hey, we know the 101st Airborne's up to something. Hey, we know they're doing this. There seems to be a mass cycle of people going through. The National Guard is coming in a lot. It's very easy just to get some sort of information like that. Even though the U.S. military is prone to always posting all of their stuff on the internet, which they've gotten better about, especially with the whole Niger Africa stuff. If you've been following me with that, U.S. military has been dead silent. Thank you. But as far as this, it's very easy, again, to quote-unquote stumble across these training centers and literally just watch troops go in and out, in and out. Something else you need to consider, again, with these military bases, people talk naturally. So, like, if you go to a basic training center and you have things called the exchange and you're walking through the mall, you can hear cadets talk about, man, when we were at grenade practice, blah, blah, blah. You know, soldiers are talking. These people who are tourists could just be walking right there. I thought I had one open. I had a picture of Burger King, but you get it. Again, soldiers, for the most part, live the most normal day you could possibly imagine beyond training. So, like, if you're not training for the day, you might go to Burger King, you might go to Popeyes, and we're talking about that time we were training on the demo range and how we need to work on some things. And again, this is just more and more information. So you're getting it. Nonetheless, so you understand that this is a problem. You do have these Chinese nationals who are on these bases who are listening and watching. And look, the other issue here is, too, you can't just point and be like, oh my gosh, he's Chinese, he's a spy, you know, because that's racist. So that's another thing that the Chinese, again, they are playing into this role. They're playing into these tourist roles. And they know what they're doing. They're very smart, all right? And so at the beginning of the article, it had also mentioned a lot of these Chinese spies are forced to do this as a mission. What you need to understand is that the Chinese also have these secret police stations that actually monitor their own actions within the country. So they're not actually spying on the United States from these secret police stations. They're monitoring their own intelligence, their own Chinese assets within these countries throughout the world, throughout the United States. These tourists respond to these police stations. The police stations respond to China. Everything is good to go. They could even deport you from the United States back to China. They could threaten your families, etc. Now, onto this crazy story. This is about a week old. This one flew right under the rug here. This is from Task and Purpose. Big fan of them. You should go check them out. Not a sponsor. Task and Purpose says 2 Fort Moore soldiers arrested with, I don't know if we can say this word on YouTube, G-word simulators, motor shell, and steroids. Yes, you heard that right. How did they get all this stuff? We'll dig into this real quick, but just because this is a goofy story that I can't believe no one's talking about. Okay, so here are the 2 soldiers, and here's all the stuff they stole. So right here, these are called RD sims, and really, these are not hard to get. You should never take any military equipment. But if you're in a training base like they were, these RD sims are essentially really big bangs. And they're meant to simulate, again, artillery simulators or riot control. Or like if you're sleeping in a foxhole and all of a sudden the cadre will throw this to wake you up, how are you going to respond? These guys stole all of this stuff and they got caught. And not only did they get caught with that, they also got caught with all of this. This is a Willy Pete round. It is inert, which means it's a dud. But nonetheless, boys, what are you doing? You're always going to get caught. It always amazes me that U.S. soldiers do not realize you're always going to get caught stealing stuff, because if you blabber, like we had mentioned before, not only are the Chinese spies going to catch you, so is the CID, Criminal Investigation Division. So yeah, you have these two soldiers who literally just stole all this stuff and acted like they weren't going to get caught. So they have over 50 weapons charges after being arrested with a G simulator, dozens of firearms, and steroids. That's the one part of the story that I find also fascinating. Hey, you stole all this and steroids. You can't take steroids in the Army, believe it or not. We know some of you take it, but they don't get caught. And a 60 millimeter Willy Pete round, which is a white phosphorus mortar shell. Yeah, that's essentially the story. And this is actually way more common than you think, where soldiers are constantly taking stuff either on purpose or not on purpose. It's deemed to be tactically acquired, where you take something tactically acquired. But they're going to be in really big trouble. The people who caught them were the CID. If you don't know who CID is, Department of the Army Criminal Investigation Division. Not only, these guys are everywhere. Like, they're all over social media, Facebook Marketplace. They are watching everything. Any sort of Army scam, anything, they will catch you, okay? So stop stealing stuff. And these are also the guys who helped investigate and find these gate crashers, these Chinese nationals. So, yeah. That is pretty much what's going on right now. This is the Chinese national thing has been going on for a long time, but I figured I'd make a video on it just to show a little more light to the story. As far as those soldiers stealing things, again, don't do it. You're going to get caught. And it goes to show that they're not messing around in the U.S. military. Okay, if you are watching this live, I'm about to post this video. Make sure you guys comment on the posted video. It helps out a ton, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you guys for being here. I love doing these live streams, and I might do one a bit later today if you're watching this live. So again, please comment on the posted video so I can read your opinions and comments, and we will see you later. Thank you so much for being here. Love all you guys. Thank you.